Hello students, welcome to the online class. Today I am going to discuss about this first war of Indian independence. So as you people know that in 1498 Vasco da Gama discovers the route to India. So after that, one after the other, the Europeans they started coming over to India. So you people know that what is the main intention of coming over to India. So the main purpose is they wanted to get this get the spices from India because there was a great demand in European markets for the Indian spices. So now the Portuguese came, the Dutch came, then French came, then the British came. So all the three they stayed only a very short time here, but the British they stayed here almost for more than 200 years. So now when they started, they came as the traders, then they become the masters. Okay, slowly they started independent the Indian kingdoms. So they fought many wars from 1757 to 1850. They took almost 100 years to build up the whole British Empire in India. Apart from that, so no section of the people was happy under the British rule, whether it is politically, socially, economically and all. Today I am here to discuss about what are the causes which led to this first war of Indian independence. Apart from that, why do we call this as the first war of Indian independence? Okay, so before whatever the wars they fought locally. So now for the first time, some of the kings they joined their hands together and they fought against the Britishers. So that's why our Indian historians they call it as the first war of independence. It was the first step towards the independence. So then, but the British historians they consider it as a Sepoy victory. They thought that only a handful of soldiers they fought in the 1857 war. But in reality, it was the first step that make us to reach in 1947. Okay, so let us start with the causes. The first cause here is the political cause, then the social-religious cause, then the military cause, then the immediate cause, and then the drawbacks. What are the drawbacks of this 1857 revolt? Okay, so let us start with the political cause. Okay, the policy of expansion. The British followed their policy of expansion. Just now I told from 1757 to 1857. Okay, 1858. So this 100 years they took to conquer the whole of India. Okay, so one after the other they started conquering the places. It might be the Bengal, Madras, Bombay, okay, Mysore, Carnatic wars, Anglo-Mysore wars, Anglo-Maratha wars. So again in 1848, the last war which they fought was Anglo-Sikh war, second Anglo-Sikh war. Okay, so then obviously they become the masters of India. So now, apart from that, they followed the policies of subsidiary alliance and doctrinal clause. So now after this 1848, okay, they introduces the policies. Did you? So till then, the most 90% of India was under the control of the Britishers. Rest was left out. Even that also they wanted to take under their control. So for that they started these policies. What is this subsidiary alliance? Okay, this policy was introduced by Lord Wellesley. This policy was started by Lord Wellesley. Okay, what is this subsidiary alliance? So according to that, the Indian rulers has to bear the expenditure of keeping the British soldiers in their kingdom. Means they have to bear the food, fodder, whatever expenses the British has to pay. Now they are just putting on the shoulders of the Indian kings. So now who are the first to sign this one? The Marathas as well as the Nizam of Hyderabad. They were the first to sign this subsidiary alliance. So next comes here by doctrine of class. What is this doctrine of class? So this doctrine of class was introduced by Lord Dalhousie. Lord Dalhousie. Okay. So according to that, if an Indian ruler doesn't have his own son or heir, the kingdom will lapse into the hands of the Britishers, because they know that from India, from the centuries, we are having a tradition of adopting their children. So now they wanted to give stop to this one. They wanted to put stop to this adoption, so that the rest of the territories also will come under the control of the Britishers. So like that, so Satara becomes the first victim. Satara becomes the first victim of the doctrine of class. Satara, Jhansi, Sambalpur, Jaipur, Udaipur. So one after the other, they started taking that under the control of the Britishers. So now comes here under pretext of alleged misrule. Okay, so now the British has taken away the Awadh. Okay, Awadh is called as the buffer state. What do you mean by buffer means? So to So a small state is lying in between the two big states. Okay, that is called as buffer state. So our has been taken away by the Britishers on the pretext of alleged misrule. Though they had taken the help from the our army or the soldiers, nearly 75,000 soldiers working under the Britishers. But they helped the Britishers to conquer the rest of the territories. But now they knocked the doors of the ours also. So they had taken because they did not get any other option to get that under the control. So what they took, they just used this word alleged misrule. Misrule means misgoverned. The Nawab is not capable to rule the kingdom properly. So next comes here, disrespect shown to Bahadur Shah Zafar. Okay, so what is this? So in 1849, so Lord Dalhousie he announced it. So the successors of Bahadur Shah Zafar, they are not going to stay in the Red Fort. So they are going to shift near to the Qutub Minar. This hurt the sentiments of the Mughals, even the Indians at that time. So next comes here, again 1856, Lord Canning, he announced one more announcement. He declared one more announcement. So what is that announcement? That after the death of Bahadur Shah Zafar, the successors, they are not supposed to use any imperial titles. They are merely called as princes. Okay, so now this also hurts the sentiments of the Muslims as well as the Mughals as well as the Indians at that time. So now, next point comes here, treatment given to Nana Sahib and Rani Lakshmi Bai. So you know that who was Nana Sahib? He was the adopted son of Bajirao II, who was the last Peshwa. But the British stopped his pension. Why did they stop his pension? Because he was not the he was the adopted son of Bajirao II. Okay, for that reason they stopped his pension. Again, Rani Lakshmi Bai. Because Rani Lakshmi Bai, she adopted the son. That also the British did not like because they wanted to impose this doctrine of tax. Okay, so even she became the bitter enemy of the Britishers. So next comes here, absolute sovereignty of the Britishers. So listen children, so before, whether they are the Mughals, whether they are the Sultanates, whoever has ruled India, so though they are the foreigners, so they stayed in India and they utilized whatever the revenue they are having only for the Indians. They did not took that to their mother country except Muhammad Ghazni. Okay, rest all of them, they utilized the money, they utilized the revenue only for the welfare of the people of India. But here in case of the Britishers, they started dragging the wealth of India to their mother country. Okay, so these will come under this political causes. Now comes here, what are the socio-religious causes? What are the socio-religious causes? See here, first one is interference with the social customs. Because the British has introduced this widow remarriage in 1856, again this abolition of sati system in 1828. Okay, like Lord William Bentinck, he was the Governor General with so much of effort from Raja Ram Mohan Rai. So this system has been banned. So again, they started this widow remarriage by Ishwar Chand Vidyasagar of Bengal. Okay, so now these two changes are not welcome by the Indians because we people at that time they are very traditional, we are very rigid. We are not ready for the change. Okay, we are not ready to give whatever the traditions we are following. So these changes have been not taken in a positive way by the Indians. Now the Indians started, the British is trying to go against their religions. Okay, that was the first thing. And second one is apprehension about the modern innovations. What is this apprehension? So introduction of railways and telegraphic system. Even that has been not taken into a positive way. So now they thought that the telegraphic poles, why they are putting these telegraphic poles, what is the intention? So whoever the Indians, whoever will go against the Britishers, they are going to hang them. Okay, so now even the introduction of railways, because ours is a caste society. Okay, so now they thought that, so now the railways have been introduced to make the Indians to sit with higher caste with the lower caste. Even that has been not taken into a positive way. So now comes here, so policy of racial discrimination. Okay, the British always consider themselves as superior. Okay, they thought as Indians as barbaric or uncivilized. Okay, everywhere the Indians have been ill-treated by the Britishers. Oppression of the poor. So now the rich people they get over easily, but the poor people they had to face so much of torture and atrocity from the Britishers. Then fear regarding Western education. Okay, because as we go for the earliest period, so we used to have this Gurukula system, RS Madrasas. So Gurukula system means only religious knowledge they used to impart. Even in madrasas also religious knowledge has been imparted. Now the introduction of Western education, even that has not been taken in a positive way by the Indians. They thought that by sending our children to the Western schools, definitely they are going to convert into Christianity. So next comes here, taxing religious places. Now the Britishers, before they never used to put any taxes on whether it is a temple, mosque, whatever it is. They never used to collect the taxes from these religious places. Now they started imposing these taxes on the religious places. Next comes here, what is this law of property? Okay, this law has been passed in 1856. According to that, so they have given permission that so whoever wants to convert to any other religion, they can. What assurance they give? If you convert to any other religion, so you are going to get your ancestral property. You are going to get your father's share in your property. So now they are encouraging the Indians to convert into any of the religion. So that has not been taken into a positive way by the Indians. These are the socio-religious causes which led to the outbreak of 1857 revolt. Till now we have discussed political cause as well as social-religious cause. Let us discuss now the military cause. What are the military causes which were responsible for the outbreak of 1857 revolt? So first point comes here, so ill treatment of the Indian soldiers. Okay, the British has established the British Empire in India with the help of the Indian soldiers. Okay, apart from that, so the Indian soldiers had to face so much of atrocities and discrimination under the British authorities, military authorities. Okay, so apart from that, the Indian soldiers were badly fed, okay, badly housed, and poorly paid. Then, even many of the British authorities, they did not allow the Indians to wear the turbans as sectarian marks. Okay, they did not show any courtesy towards the Indian people, Indian soldiers. Then again, General Service Enlistment Act. They passed an act that is called as General Service Enlistment Act by Lord Canning. This act has been passed by Lord Canning. Okay, he was the first viceroy after this revolt. Before they used to give the designation called Governor General. Now, after this revolt, they just changed the designation from Governor General to Viceroy. So according to that, Lord Canning, he introduced this policy that it is called as General Service Enlistment Act. He passed this act. According to that, the Indian soldiers had to serve the Britishers by crossing the sea. Okay, so at that time it was a taboo, especially for the Brahmins. If they crossed the sea, they thought that they are going against their religion. So now the British want the Indian soldiers to serve the Britishers by crossing the sea. So next one is bleak prospects of promotions. So now it was just like a complete stagnation for the Indian soldiers. Though they are capable, they are as capable as the British counterpart, but they never recognize the abilities as well as the abilities of the Indian soldiers. So there is no promotion to the Indian soldiers. So last promotion, highest promotion the Indian soldier used to get was Subedar. Though they were having so much of abilities, so till then also they never used to give the more than the position to the soldiers. Subedar. So next comes here, deprivations of allowances. The British asked the Indian soldiers to serve them wherever they want. They used to send them far away from their homes and from their loved ones. But they never used to pay any extra charges for them. So even this Postal Office Act of 1856. Okay, they introduced the free postal charges for the sipais. Okay, so then comes here lower salaries. So now even the salaries were very less to the Indian soldiers. The Indian soldiers, if he is getting only 100 rupees, at the same time the newly appointed British officer used to get 800 rupees at that time. Means 8 times more than the Indian soldiers, the British soldiers used to get the salaries. Now comes here, after this one, let us see what was the immediate cause. What was the immediate cause which led to this outbreak of 1857 revolt? See here, the introduction of Enfield rifle. Okay, so now the loading process is they had to use it through they had to open this, they had to take it to the mouth and they had to bite it and they had to fill it in this rifle. Okay, so now there was a rumors in the camps that so these grease cottages has been smeared with the fat of cows as well as the pig. Now cow is a sacred animal for the Hindus and pig is a taboo for the Muslims. Now the revolt was started because the soldiers refused to use the cottages which have been greased. Okay, so let us see what are the drawbacks. What are the drawbacks of this 1857? Okay, why the handful of Indians they could not able to stand in front of the British? Okay. Dear students, so I have discussed about this political cause, social religious cause, then military cause, again this immediate cause. Though many causes are there, many causes are responsible for the outbreak of the British 1857 revolt, but still, so we are not able to win this war. We are not able to free ourselves from the clutches of the Britishers. So what might be the reason? Where we lack? What are the drawbacks? Why we are not able to withstand in front of the Britishers? Why we are not able to defeat the Britishers? So we are having some drawbacks. So some drawbacks are there which are responsible for this 1857 that we are not able to withstand in front of the Britishers. The first point here, the movement did not have a common plan because lack of planning among the Indians, among these rulers, they did not have proper planning. Okay, again, the East India Company had exceptional generals like Lawrence, Outram and Nicholson. Whereas in Indians we have only three. One is Nana Sahib, Tantia Tope and Rani Lakshmi. Because you people know that almost Bahadur Shah Zafar was reaching his 90 years. He was 90 years old at that time. Okay, so next one, the movement did not have a national-wide dimension. So means the movement did not spread throughout India, only a some part of India. Not eastern or central part of India, this war has been fought. It did not spread to South India, even the eastern part as well as the western part of India. So apart from that, beginning of the movement before the fixed time. So dear children, till now we had discussed about this political cause, social religious cause, then military cause, and even this immediate cause. Okay, so though many causes are responsible for this outbreak of this 1857 revolt, but somewhere we lacks. Somewhere we could not able to give a tough fight to the Britishers. Okay, what might be the reason? Where we lacks. So let us see what are the drawbacks of this 1857 revolt. So what are the drawbacks? See here, first and foremost, lack of common cause. Then lack of planning, because we did not have proper planning. Again, lack of leadership. So the British has the capable generals in their hands, like Outram, Nicholson, Lawrence and all. They are exceptionally good exceptionally good, but we lack in leadership. Like we are having only three of them. One is Tantia Tope, Rani Lakshmi Bai, again Nana Sahib. So as you know that, so Bahadur Shah Zafar almost he is reaching to the peak, like 90 years old at that time was. Okay, so then comes here, so lack of resources. So we are not using the modern weapons. We are using these swords as well as this swords and shield, but the Britishers are using these muskets as well as the rifles. And lack of participation means many of the Indians they did not take part in this 1857 revolt. So if you see the south, so south was completely isolated from this 1857 revolt. If you see the east, so even these people did not enter into this 1857. Even the west, they remained aloof from this 1857 revolt. Okay, so then it did not reach. Here. So now many of the educated Indians, many of these business people say they don't want to, they help the Britishers to suppress this movement because they used to get more benefit by having a trade with the Britishers. Okay, so now all these causes are responsible for these are the causes responsible for the failure of this 1857 revolt. So now we are not able to free ourselves from the clutches of the Britishers because of these drawbacks. Dear students, today we have discussed about this, what are the causes for the outbreak of this 1857 revolt. Today I have discussed this political cause, social religious cause, then military cause, immediate cause, then again drawbacks. Okay, so I hope we understood all the points. So in the next coming class, I am going to discuss the new topic.